So I'm Dr. Ashok Maharaj. Really delighted to be part of this conversation, and I think we have a good flow for the next few minutes on the evolution of metaverse and what's in it for enterprises and for folks like you guys who are all watching. Briefly about me, I head the XR labs for Tata Consultancy services. I've been looking at augmented virtual and mixed realities for close to 22 years now. I'm an academic, did my MS and PhD from Georgia Institute of Technology in the US. I had the privilege of working for NASA for 3 years. I was also a Guggenheim Fellow with the Smithsonian. For the last 10 years, in TCS, have been looking at immersive ecologies, basically applying, all of these extended reality technologies for learning, for digital twins, and also for a lot of onboarding experiences. So, in this conversation that I'm going to have with Harshal from Infosys, we're going to really unpack the whole metaverse itself, because that's the subject that has befuddled a lot of people. And many companies are trying to start this journey of really understanding what this metaverse is and what it can do for different, not only social groups but also for industries and also for enterprise. I just want my colleague to take it up, and maybe personally you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your journey so far with the extended reality.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Dr. Ashok Sukriti, for the introduction. I am excited to be here and appreciate the opportunity to talk on the topic of metaverse, which is relevant at the point of time and like a buzzword around the globe. Uh, for me, I started my journey, as a game developer in 2012, and worked my way across, working on many different games, which are deployed on across the platforms like Android, iOS devices, computers and consoles. Uh, and currently, I from past 6 years onwards, I'm working with Infosys as a XR and Metaverse technology lead in the unit called Infosys Center for Tech. I work as a XR and Metaverse technology lead from the unit in Infosys, which is called as Infosys Center for Emerging Technologies and Solutions. Uh, yeah, that's it about me. Over to you, Dr. Ashok.
All right. Okay. So, Harshal, you've been hearing about this buzzword, right? Ever since Facebook was rechristened as Meta, we have seen many companies joining the bandwagon and trying to position themselves as the as someone who has been working in this metaverse field for quite a long time, right? Um, I know metaverse definition is a moving target. If you had asked me last month what is the definition of metaverse, I would have given a completely different one, from what I'm sharing now. So, what is your definition of the metaverse, and why do you think this is going to bring a paradigm shift in the way we have been looking at computing?
Yeah. So according to me, there is no fixed definition for metaverse, but according to me, metaverse we can define it as like a virtual world where people can interact with each other virtually, obviously, with their digital avatar and buy and sell stuff using virtual currency. So that can be a short and sweet definition. Also, you can say that it is nothing but a massive interconnected network of virtual spaces which are connected over internet using say latest technology like Web3 and all, where we can collaborate virtually from anywhere and from the comfort of our home. What basically you view as a metaverse when we call something
Okay.
as a metaverse?
All right. So as I mentioned, metaverse definition is a moving target, and someone beautifully articulated that it's good that it is not fully defined, because we kind of give the terminology more creative freedom to kind of constantly evolve and bring multiple elements inside, right? Once when you try to define something, what happens is, you kind of put a boundary around it, right? So based on a lot of definitions that I've seen so far, I really like the definition given by the CEO of Unity, John DiGiello. And so he defined, the metaverse as the next generation of the internet or the next evolution of the internet, and that is always real time, mostly 3D, mostly interactive, mostly social, mostly persistent. And I think
Yes.
this definition is really, good to understand the metaverse and what you're seeing out there. That is being populated as metaverse. If you kind of look through the definition, is not the metaverse at all, right? Just having a virtual reality experience with avatars and people greeting each other is not the true metaverse itself. If you kind of go back to what Neil Stevenson has framed in his book Snow Crash, that kind of metaverse, is going to take a lot of time for it to come. So let's kind of stick to this definition for now. I repeat it again. It's the metaverse is the next generation of the internet. It is always real time, mostly 3D, mostly interactive, mostly social, and lastly, mostly persistent. So that's how I kind of lean towards. And what do you think would be the job roles for developers with regards to metaverse? Hmm? I
Yeah.
know in the past we have seen different waves, right? For example, your own CEO kind of mentioned the design thinking revolution, right? And then overnight we have seen a lot of influx of design thinkers in the organization, and similarly data science and so on. So what are all the you know uh, the job roles for developers with regards to metaverse?
Yeah, so that's like an interesting take and question, basically. So the current job roles are still valid for the metaverse development, but we can still like sort them out in some categories. So there could be like immediate job role which can be as a metaverse or ecosystem architects. They are basically their basically focus will be on the groundwork for the metaverse application, not just for the development, but they will create a they will basically create the frameworks to create the metaverse application using technologies like cloud, IoT, and blockchain. Also, similarly, there could be a metaverse planner and metaverse designer job role, where basically they will oversee a design of metaverse which particular client supposed to build. Also, there could be a job role for a metaverse storyteller. As I said, like graphics artist and people or like game designer can venture into this role, basically, where their job is nothing but to design the experiences as per the requirement. So they can explore and build the stories around the training, like training scenarios for military, virtual classroom for student, and like some maybe a psychology sessions. Also, most important job role will be metaverse developer, which is currently also in market. All right, so those will be like mostly a faction of programmers that will be responsible for developing a metaverse itself using frameworks and tools like Decentraland, Roblox, Sandbox, Unity, and other game engines. Also, then there will be a metaverse content creators. For that, like 3D artists and persons have that 3D skills, they can venture into it. They will use the tools like Autodesk Maya, Max, ZBrush to create the beautiful 3D models. Then the most important role in the metaverse, which we can say like a backbone of the metaverse, is like blockchain engineer. So blockchain engineers will be definitely needed for metaverse. Their main role is to they will be responsible for establishing and constructing a digital blockchain and decentralizing the metaverse itself, enabling user to do a secure transaction using NFT and cryptocurrencies inside virtual world. Also, there will be like cloud engineers needed for metaverse to scale at large using cloud technologies like GCP, AWS, and Azure cloud. Also, we can have like metaverse safety manager or cyber security experts, because in metaverse user safety matters. So if you have recently heard, there are some cases where some harassment happened of the digital avatar, so that needs to be stopped. So for that, this role plays a major part, how we can stop it and how we can overcome that kind of thing. Also, there is like new form of cyberbullying is there. Also, monetary or digital NFT threat can happen. So for that, metaverse cybersecurity expert will be needed. And say like down the line, after say a decade, just like Web 2.0 transition to Web 1.0 transition to Web 4.0, it took almost a decade kind of time frame. So if we consider from now, metaverse will take that much time frame. Then, like say, when the metaverse economy is fully established, like say a decade down the line, we can have particular roles in metaverse, like metaverse event manager. So one can be virtually present in metaverse. They can own their own space. They can host and create the events, and people basically join using paying the tokens, using cryptocurrency, and that can go like that. So there could be this kind of job also, like meta lawyers also will be needed to secure your digital art and NFT, copyright them, and trademark laws like this.
Great, Harshal. Great. So, when we were, starting the journey in Metaverse, there were a lot of challenges that we faced. I'm sure, in your development cycle or putting together application, you would have faced a lot of challenges. But I just want to ask you real quick, what is one experience that really warmed you, in this whole, immersive experience? And what is the one thing that you would really like to see in future? I will also share my perspective on that.
Yeah. So currently, what I like about this technology and like saying is that basically our ability for anyone to connect, even if you do not have like costly HMTs or mobile phones, so you can connect from any platform. You can join from web application, standard computer application, or if you have like virtual headset like Oculus Quest HTC Vive like that, so you can just join in the metaverse, and you can interact with people like throughout the world. You don't need to go. You can do your virtual meeting over there, like as if you're just meeting someone else. You can buy stuff. So I see it is like going to be a like full-fledged sort of economy, which sort of will replace the real world, not completely, but in a sense. So and as the metaverse is sort of portrayed in a Ready Player Me movie, where everyone can join in the metaverse, work there, earn their money, like that. So that sort of thing that I look forward to, and I believe that it will reach there in future definitely.
Okay, okay. When I started the metaverse journey, I never thought that that virtual meetings can be that lively. Right? We ourselves have created a product called as Ava Presence, which is a portmanteau of two words, avatar and presence, which are kind of the main focus for all of these virtual collaborations. One is your avatar, another one is your present, right? It could be a persistent environment or it could be a non-persistent environment. But coming together of these two forces to create the virtual collaboration is something that is really profound. And so that's one area where it really warmed me. Having people connecting from different geographies, all shaking hands and greeting each other and so on. What I'd like to see in future with metaverse is, about this privacy and security that we talked about, actually, right? Unlike Twitter and Facebook, the security is an afterthought, right? Or the privacy issues was an afterthought. 10 years down the line, only people started to question about, okay, I'm being surveilled. Like there is a lot of surveillance going on. There is this privacy issues. No one thought about these questions when the technology was being formed, right? So now we have this great opportunity to really grapple with these central issues, like for example, the harassment that you pointed out. So there are so many rules and regulations we can bring as the technology itself is evolving, right? So I'd like to see a metaverse which is more democratic, which is accessible, which are addressing the core, democratic values of the society that we live in, right? So it should be more liberating to the general population than constraining. So I think that's the future I'd like to see in the evolution of the metaverse. And I'm sure some of the folks who are watching this from the developer community will be equally passionate to really create this whole ecosystem to be more responsible. So I'm looking forward to a responsible metaverse, in a nutshell. So, Sukriti, thanks so much for giving us this opportunity to dialogue and talk about what is this metaverse, what are the challenges, opportunities, and what's in it for the developer community and for the future. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Ashok. Thank you, Dr. Ashok and Sukruti and TechGig team